All right, so welcome everybody to your final success session, kind of one of your final requirements of the Blue Water Middle College. So hopefully that's a good feeling. I'm sure it probably is. I do remember all of those last things in college or finishing up high school as you move on to the next step. And it's still a good feeling for us too as the semester ends because right now we are in the thick of it. Or I am. I think we kind of all are. So um, we just kind of wanted to touch on this. This is something we started doing a few years ago, through as people got through this in the COVID years, and you did kind of start in a messy time. I think we had to do, I don't know if we did orientation in person, but I think your seminar was online. I think you kind of were the last group that was sort of affected by it. But you've had your 6 semesters at the college. My computer just said my internet is unstable, so hopefully that's gonna hold on for us. But if I lose you, I'll be back. I'll just kind of log out and log back in if that happens. But yeah, moving on. So 18 to 20 college courses, most people have at least 60 credits. A lot of people have even more. A lot of you are close to it, but not quite there. And just whatever you have is yours to keep and take with you to the next place. And we'll talk about all that. You probably had your high school graduation or went to that ceremony at the end of 12th grade last year, and you've had over 25 hours of success sessions and orientation, including, and actually more when you include the seminar class. So you've gotten a whole plethora of lessons from us about navigating this whole college thing. And coming soon, you'll be getting your high school diploma and potentially even a college degree. So that's very exciting. And this popped up on my Twitter feed just kind of in the just last week, I think, April 7th or just a week or so ago. And I just loved it. And it made me think of you all as you're kind of finishing up this experience. That basically all of these challenges that you have experienced through this time, through all of high school, through the college experience, all those times that you thought, I can't do this, I have to quit. Like I know I see some names in here, people that were maybe that person in my office that was like, I don't think I can keep doing this, or struggling or panicked or having those moments of self-doubt. And basically all of those times that you have gotten through it anyway, like you did do what you needed to do. All of that is building resilience and confidence. And even if you maybe don't feel super confident as you're wrapping this up and moving on to the next step, which is a really common time to be nervous and excited and worried or all of that stuff, just know that you have already built yourself quite a bit of resilience and you've learned a lot through your 3 years of the program. And your past progress is proof of your future potential. So I just loved that and thought I'd share it with you all. I don't know if you can see the dog in there, but he is leaning in and going to be probably maybe a little bit of a jerk here. He's kind of at his witching hour, so hopefully he'll be good. But so we'll have some news and updates, talk about how to return all your stuff, and just kind of wrap up SC4 and Blue Water Middle College. We'll touch on that exit survey, which I think most everyone that's here tonight has done that. But if you're watching this video, maybe you haven't. We'll talk about all the next steps and what you need to know about transcripts and majors and minors, buying textbooks later on, and just kind of a review of paying for college and how to deal with all that. We're going to talk about that twice actually. So, but though for right now, there's still a week and a half left before finals. So keep pushing. I've worked with a couple of students recently who were waiting for a grade to come in, and their current overall grade might not be great. But one in particular, a student thought like they were currently failing and were kind of worried and freaking out and like, I'm going to have to drop it, and had this essay come in that they got 100% on. And so that pushed them up to a B, which is awesome. That's like the ideal success story when somebody is struggling or when their grade is struggling. I know not every situation is going to be like that, but if you are struggling and are thinking it's not going to be possible to get your grade up and need to withdraw, you kind of are at that finish line. So sometimes that can mean the difference of finishing the degree or not this semester, which is a big decision to make. And so anytime though, as you know, this is the sixth semester you're with us, that you have to speak to one of us on staff before you can drop a class. So we would need to hear from you by Thursday at the latest so that we can have that conversation in time to help you make that decision and then send that information to SE4 so they can drop you from the class on Friday before the deadline. So there are consequences. We'll talk through that. And again, some of those are even more escalated consequences than they would be if you were early into the program. So I wouldn't say wait till Thursday. If you have any issues, reach out to us now, like shoot us an email before, or like as soon as this session is over. So wrapping things up, you're going to return everything as you always do. You'll return your books. But this semester, and your books and calculators, those are going to go to the SE4 bookstore. And then you actually also have to return your Chromebook and your charger, and you're going to bring that to the Blue Water Middle College office. I apologize for the double locations, but for the extra little visit that you have to make, it's worth it so that Mrs. Lawson doesn't have to haul like hundreds of Chromebooks from one end of campus to the other, and just consider it your costs of having that free Chromebook for all 3 years. So hopefully that's not too big of a pain in the butt for everybody, but make sure you get those back. Those all have to be back. We have to have all of your materials returned, or you don't receive your diploma until it's all returned. So the window that the bookstore is going to be accepting book returns in the calculators, that will start not next Monday, the Monday after next. So that starts Monday, April 29th. That's the Monday of finals week, continues all through finals week, and then does wrap up, like you can return them the Monday after finals. So that Monday, May 6th is the last time to return that without a late fee. If it's returned after that, there could be a fee, but don't wait. As I always say, bring everything in when you come to campus for your last final. And that's another good feeling of checking things off, like you are checking this off today. So commencement for the college degree. So if you are going to be completing your associate degree this semester, or if you only have one class left to complete, hopefully you have already applied for graduation in the service center. We gave you those instructions, I think like in January or February, I sent that stuff, but basically you just go to the service center, and normally you go into student planning to do all your registration. You would just click graduation overview instead of student planning, and that would bring you to apply to that. You can still apply for graduation and participate in the commencement. It's just the only deadline that has passed is to be included in the program. So to have your name listed on that paper program that's handed out. But you can still participate and show up at commencement. There's more info at this page, and I just kind of want to pop over there and encourage you to go look at that if you are going to be participating. It has just some notes on basically also the deadline has passed to order your cap, gown, and tassel, but you can go to the SE4 bookstore and get those starting tomorrow. I believe they're going to have that available, but just some info on like how to get to like where you're going to report and all that kind of stuff, and what to tell your family and friends or any guests that you have coming to watch you. So that's super exciting. If you are going to be finishing your associate degree, I highly recommend going to that. If you're on the fence, it's really a cool ceremony, and yeah, you have earned it. So go get your recognition, basically. You don't get your diploma that night. They will mail that to you. And basically the process is that there's one person at SE4 that goes through, and everybody that applied for graduation, they review your progress, basically do an audit of your degree, similar to what you and I did in meetings over the last few years, and kind of checks that you've hit all the requirements. And then they go through, generate everybody's diplomas, and then they go through and stuff them and mail them to you. So it takes a while. It takes 6 to 8 weeks usually after the semester ends. And that's pretty commonplace at most colleges. Like eventually when you go get your bachelor's degree, it'll be a similar process, and then they mail that to you. So you'll expect that probably like mid-July. And if you haven't gotten it by then, let me know. You do have to apply for graduation in order to be awarded the degree. So even if you know for sure you're not going to the commencement, if you're finishing a degree, you have to click through that step of applying for graduation in order to have the degree reviewed and awarded. So make sure that you've done that. And again, if you are if you need just maybe like one more class and are gonna finish that this summer, or tell them you're gonna finish that this summer, you can still participate in the graduation. You just don't get your diploma until you've actually finished all the requirements. I don't think I mentioned, but Mrs. Barr is going to be in the chat answering questions. And so if you're going to ask a question, if you just could send it to everybody, then she can see that and be able to answer you. But I see there's a question about, do you have to reapply for graduation after you finish your one summer class? And the answer would be yes. If you said you were going to finish this semester in winter 2024, you would have to reapply for graduation and say that you're finishing in summer 2024. And that's just so that they know to basically review that. Great question. Now, if you haven't applied for graduation yet, because you thought, well, I'm not going to finish or whatever the case, you can just do it now and say you're going to finish in the summer. Okay, sorry. If you complete your degree next fall or winter, next spring, like next May will be your graduation if you want to go to that. Sorry, this is taking forever to load. I am worried about my internet. So the Blue Water Middle College graduation is going to be Wednesday, May 15th from 6 to 7:30 in the no, that is wrong. I'm sorry. So that's going to be in the Welcome Center, room 150. And we'll just change this right now so that it's on the presentation when I send it to everybody. It's basically going to be just like an open house. So if you want to just show up, get your diploma, have a little snack, take a couple pictures, you can do that. And it will be easy breezy. We will have a little bit of a ceremony at 6:30. So if you want to be there and have the ceremony and kind of walk up and shake hands and get a diploma cover, you can do that. If you don't want to do that, get there before 6:30 or after 7, probably is a safe bet that will be done by 7, but I'm sure it'll even be sooner. The whole thing is very casual. We do ask you to dress nicely, only just kind of for yourself, like if you want to take some pictures, but there's not a dress code. There's no caps and gowns. Like if you're in shorts and a t-shirt, we'd still like you to stop by and say hello and goodbye and pick up your diploma. So don't feel like you can't come because of that, but just, you know, if you're going to be there with your family and friends, dress nice, and we'll take there's going to be some like photo opportunities and a backdrop to take pictures in front of. So everyone is welcome to attend, and you can bring whatever guests you choose. There's going to be plenty of room for anybody that wants to attend, and invitations aren't required. And we'll have just kind of some light snacks and coffee and water and stuff. If you can't attend that night, you will have to pick up your diploma in the Blue Water Middle College office, and you can do that anytime starting the next day. Basically, once the school year ends, our hours, we go from 8 to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays, a lot of us are there a lot of Fridays, but not every Friday. So we do work from home on Fridays. So if you needed to come in on a Friday, you'd have to reach out to set up an appointment. And so you can email Mrs. Lawson to set the pickup time. And we'll be sending reminders about this too, and probably reaching out to anybody that doesn't come to graduation just to remind of all this, but just kind of something to shoot for and plan for. So the future plans survey, if you've already done this, thank you. And I was just kind of looking through the people that are here tonight. I think pretty much everyone has done it. So I'm just going to keep looking through here real quick. Actually, I don't think there is anybody here that hasn't. Maybe just one person that I've come across. So if you have not done it, Mr. Ruiz just sent an email today. I sent an email last week. I can resend it if you're not sure, or you could even stick around at the end if you're not sure, but just look out for that email. And we need you to do that. This is another thing that's required for you to complete before we can give you your diploma. And it's just a little bit to gather some information, but also I want to start figuring out who needs help, kind of figuring out next steps. So people have completed that and said their situation. I have not had a chance to reach out to anybody yet, but I will be doing that as soon as possible, hopefully this week. But we are also in the whole rush of registration for next semester. So just a lot going on at once, but I'm going to try to reach out as soon as possible if you are at a point where you need help with college applications or the FAFSA or any of this, reach out to me. You don't have to wait for me to kind of hunt you down. But that is sort of the goal of that. And that's exactly what we're talking about is next steps. So if you have not already applied to colleges or completed the FAFSA, it is not too late to do that. There's actually, we'll talk a little bit about the FAFSA. There's been some crazy delays and issues. But the silver lining of that is that you can do the stuff right now and you're not even behind. Like you'll get your information only just shortly after the people that did it right away the first day it opened. So that is a good thing. If you have already done that stuff, watch for info from your colleges. They're going to explain kind of what you need to do for their process. Each school does their own thing, but sort of some common things that colleges will ask you to do is to complete your enrollment commitment, basically make your final choice of saying, yes, I'm coming here. And usually you have to pay a deposit to go along with that. During that process, you also usually schedule your orientation. And then they're also going to tell you to send your final transcripts. And so what that means is after the semester is ended. So they want to see your final high school transcript, which will come from the Blue Water Middle College, and that is sent via parchment. And that is so that they can see that you officially graduated. So we're not going to be able to give you that until the school year is done. So for all of you that are in your 13th year, your semester ends on May 3rd. And Mrs. Lawson works really quick to get everybody's transcripts updated with the grades. But usually that can take a week or two. So it would probably be right around graduation day, May 15th, that she'll have those ready to send. On the college side of it, they want to see your final transcript so they can do your final credit transfer evaluation. So they'll look and see every single class you had, and they'll transfer it over and basically start your transcript there with everything that you're transferring in. So they need that after the semester is over as well. That you send on sc4.edu/transcript, and we're going to kind of refresh your memory. We'll talk more about this a little bit later in. As far as the FAFSA, you probably have heard there's been massive delays. And it's been a giant mess, basically. But those people that had no trouble, the FAFSA is actually much quicker and easier to complete. You don't even necessarily need to gather all of your tax information. They really have streamlined it. So once the FAFSA is working, it's going to be super, super easy. And it is working right now. People that are doing it right now are not having the trouble or glitches. It's just some people that did it earlier are experiencing some glitches. And there have been big delays in basically the federal student aid department to get all that information to the colleges so that they can then review your need and then create your financial aid package. So that is basically what the delays are right now. Colleges are getting that information now though. So most colleges, SC4 is one, they've said basically they expect to have financial aid award letters out to people by the end, kind of like around late April, early May. So you should have that within a couple of weeks. And a lot of the big schools, the financial aid director at SC4 said she talked to the guy at Michigan State, and he basically said the same thing. So as small as SC4, as big as Michigan State, they're all kind of shooting to have that information to you within the next couple of weeks. Now, where people have been panicked is that typically the deadline for committing has been May 1st for most colleges if they have a deadline. But most have extended that to June 1st, knowing that you don't have the information yet. So a lot of people, most people are basing their decision on the financial aid packages that they're going to be getting. So if that's the boat you're in, don't worry, you're going to get that information, and your colleges have extended stuff. And they will continue to extend it if they don't get your information, or they'll reach out and say, I don't know what's going on. I see that you submitted it. We still haven't gotten it. If there's issues, they will reach out to you. You just need to really make sure that you're keeping an eye on your email and watching for any updates or information that they ask for. But it's not too late to complete it. So do that now. And basically the sooner that you file, the sooner you receive your award letters. Just a note on the financial aid award letter is what they break it down to be like, this is your estimated cost based on tuition and housing and food packages. And then this is the aid that we can give you. So they'll break it down of free money versus loans. And I'll kind of touch on that in a little bit more detail, but that's the idea there. So those award letters are what tell you what aid you're going to get, and then what you would have to owe on your own, what you'd have to pay out of pocket after all that. If you have gotten notice that there was a problem, or they've called it that your FAFSA was incorrect or requires a correction, or that, like, if something went wrong, I think some people were told that their FAFSA was just incorrect. If you were told that, there was probably a button there that says like make a correction. So when you log into your FSA account, there's like a button that says make a correction, but then you tried to click on it and you couldn't. I just worked with somebody who's here tonight that today came in that she was able to make those corrections. So I think the corrections are open and available. So if this was you, you can go in and do that now. And again, those things are going to be sent, like the data is going to be sent to the colleges. They're sent basically every day, and they pull all that information. So you're really, again, not going to be even very far behind everyone else, maybe like a day or two behind. So you can do that now. And if you want help with that, just let me know. You could come in and we could do that together just to make sure that you did it all right. But hopefully, and a lot of the times, so another thing too, I just want to point out is that these mistakes that they're referring to weren't even always actual mistakes that you or the people made. They were just complete glitches in the whole system. So if that is the case, like, don't beat up on yourself. Just let's do what it needs to happen to get it fixed. And again, these are not happening as often as people are doing them more recently. It's all starting to streamline. So don't let this stop you from doing the FAFSA. So there is a newsletter that I'm going to send you that the Blue Water College Access Network made, which is really great. It's got a lot of really good information. I'm going to send you this. So if you have not done the FAFSA, this is a good resource just to find out like how to do it. I would just read through it. Even if you have done it, you might want to skim through it. There's also a webinar that Joe Kassar, the financial aid director at SE4, and Nick Boudre from the Blue Water College Access Network are just kind of talking about all this stuff. So that could be good if you have questions. Another thing too that I'll send you is this thing that the Michigan College Access Network has made. And it's basically a summary of all of the colleges and kind of where they're at with stuff. So updates on mainly if they have extended the deadline to confirm your enrollment. So for an example, there's just a lot of schools here and a lot of stuff up top that I can't move, but let's say Eastern Michigan. If you're thinking about going to Eastern, the deadline to confirm enrollment isn't until the first day of classes. So there's a number of schools that are like this where you can apply all summer. Like, you don't even have to decide right now. So if you have not applied, you may want to look through this list and see which places don't have a deadline. And you can ask me and I can help you with that as well. So there's also, usually it'll say like if there's a application deadline, or if there's an enrollment process, an enrollment deposit deadline, housing deposit. So all these things, like Grand Valley is basically like no official deadlines. Like, the earlier you can get the stuff in, the better, and the more time you're going to have to plan and get all this stuff in and get the information back that you're waiting for. But if you haven't done a single thing, it's not too late. So definitely let me know if you want help with that or just need advice on where to start. So I'll be sending both of those. And then actually I'm gonna, I have cleared my schedule and I'm going to have times for a drop-in on Thursday. And so this is kind of a drop-in to help with the FAFSA, but it can also be if you want to talk about college applications and haven't done that yet. So this Thursday, like 2 days from now, 9 to 12, and then 2 to 4 in the afternoon. And just in our office, I'll be in my office. So I've got basically free time for you to just pop in. So definitely take advantage of that. If you have any questions, we could sit down and do the FAFSA all together. I can help you get it started, or if you want to bring a parent in or whoever's going to be your contributor, we can do the whole thing start to finish wherever you're at in the process. So do that if you need help. I also am going to have, I think, maybe some snacks around. And I did get a little bit, some swag from like the Michigan College Access Network, some random stuff if you're interested in like a t-shirt or pin and stuff like that. But probably snacks. That would be what would sell me on coming. So we'll have something there for people that pop in. Another thing too, I wish we were going to have pizza on hand, but this is a thing that they just announced today that I think like the governor's office made this thing where they're partnering with Hungry Howie's to give like, they're going to have these, it's basically like a lottery from people that do the FAFSA. So just by doing the FAFSA, then texting this number, you're putting yourself in the running to win free pizza for a year. So I think the rules are basically that it's from Hungry Howie's. I don't know the logistics of how it'll work, but I think you get at least a pizza a week. So that's awesome. So 100 people will win that of the people that actually text that number. So if you've already done the FAFSA, you can text that number right now, and then it'll ask you a couple of questions like your name, email address, and I think your actual address. And then if you haven't done it, do the FAFSA and then text that number. And if you do that by June 30th, you're in the running for that prize. So somebody, statistically, there's somebody will probably win that from the area. So it might as well be you. So I would do that, especially as you're going away to college. That will be really helpful to have at least one meal a week for free. Okay, so as you're going away, just kind of figuring out your status. You've had many statuses of being like at the a high school student and a college student at the same time. And now as it wraps up, you are officially a high school graduate. You did pretty much all of the stuff by the end of 12th grade, but you'll be getting your actual diploma at the graduation or coming to pick it up afterwards. And ideally, sometimes some of you will be a college graduate as well by finishing up your associate degree this semester. So that's wonderful. And then at the same time, you could be a college freshman, or you have been a college freshman throughout this year in the application process. Colleges in Michigan have had you apply as freshmen, and that's so that you're eligible for the freshman merit scholarships where there's just more money available. Once you do your credit transfer and send your final transcript from SE4 to your four-year school, and then they transfer all of your credit over, then that's going to bump you up to whatever academic standing you are based on the number of credits that you transfer. So typically 30 or more is a sophomore, and 60 or more credits bumps you up to a junior. So you're going to go from a freshman to a junior, ideally pretty quickly. That can be good and bad. The good is that sometimes if they require a freshman or if they require underclassmen to live in a dorm or to live in specific dorms or not have a parking pass or just certain things like that, you might be eligible for junior level perks. The flip side is that most four-year schools, pretty much every four-year school, they do like, they're not like SC4 where it's just kind of like it's $188 per credit hour. At four-year schools, they have increasing costs per credit hour depending on what year you are. So it's one price as a freshman, a little bit higher as a sophomore, a little bit higher as a junior, and then as a senior. I'm not sure why, because I feel like that negatively motivates people to keep going and to continue. But it is basically just how colleges work for some reason, that it becomes more expensive the further along that you get. So just know that if you transfer in as a junior, you're going to be paying junior level prices. The flip side of that is that you've gotten a ton of free credit to get you to that junior status. So it's probably okay, because the people that are in your junior class with you at Michigan State or wherever you end up, they've been paying for freshman and sophomore level out of their pocket or out of student loans. Okay, so kind of where people are at is some people are planning to go to a four-year university and get a bachelor's degree. And that's where I talk about all of those things. All of your classes transfer one by one. And basically, if you took English 101 here, they might call it ENG 121 there, but they give you that equivalent class. Reverse transfer is an option if you have not completed your associate degree, but you're really close, is that you could still transfer on to wherever you're going for your 4-year school for your bachelor's degree, and you can transfer classes back from that 4-year school in order to complete your associate degree. So if you are one of those people that has like a class or two, or even like a handful left, that could be an option. And I would say reach out to me and I can help you figure out if that's a good option for you. The other way some people do it is if you have like a semester's worth or more, you might stay at SC4 to complete your original associate degree, or sometimes people are staying to earn a second associate degree or certification. Another option is sometimes people are going to work for a while, or sometimes people are just going to work. A lot of the associate degrees, like the applied degrees at SC4, like criminal justice or mechatronics, stuff like that, is meant to set you up to be able to start in the workforce after that associate degree. So if you're one of those lucky people that's going to get started into adult world of work for the rest of your lives, congratulations and welcome. But if I hear a lot of students talking about, I don't have any money saved, I'm freaking out, I've gotten my financial aid award letter and it's not great, I still will owe a big chunk of money that I just don't have. There are people that are going to take a pause in what we kind of call a gap year to work and go back to school. And adults in your life will try to discourage you from that. And I would say probably for the most part, I would discourage you from that, or at least tell you to kind of take some, at least a class or two. You might minimize your course load, but staying in the mindset of going to school is a good thing. But statistically, always kind of in years past, that if people take a gap year, they're not, statistically, people don't always go back. Like just the majority of people don't go back. But that's different. You guys already have this college stuff under your belt. You know that you can do it. So if you need to take a break and work, sometimes that's the best choice. But I would say come and talk to me and let's talk through, like, is that the right choice? And let's make sure you do have all the right information about what financial aid you're eligible for. But whatever you do, if it's finishing an associate degree or going on for a bachelor's degree, complete a degree. That's something that can never be taken away from you and is a really valuable thing, as you know, and we've talked about forever. If you're thinking about colleges, we just kind of point out some that are within about an hour's drive away. There are some partners at the SC4 University Center. So like Ferris has a criminal justice degree. U of M Flint has a psychology degree. So there might be, if you're interested in something like that, you can actually finish that at SC4, but get your bachelor's degree without having to travel or move away. It would entail probably quite a bit of online classes. So that's just something to think about. Macomb Community Colleges. Macomb Community College has a whole bunch of degrees that SC4 doesn't. Like there's, I think there's a vet tech associate degree. There's a dental hygiene degree. So if you're interested in maybe another associate degree that isn't offered at SC4, you could look up and see if anything there is helpful to you. But then there's Oakland, Wayne State, U of M, Flint, that are all within like an hour's commute. I'm not sure. I have this bar at the bottom that I cannot see around, but I think we also have University of Detroit Mercy there, which is a private college and kind of expensive, but these are all good public universities that would be on the cheaper end. If you're staying at SC4, you would have to complete a new application. So basically you have to reapply to SC4 as a regular SC4 student that has to pay for things themselves, but you would want to list Blue Water Middle College as your high school, as you should have for all of your college applications. And you can see an SC4 advisor to figure out what you need to finish up an associate degree or start a new one, or I can also still help you with that through the years. I have students that come back. There's a student that graduated last year that I'm working with right now. There's a student that graduated back in 2019 who's reaching out for help for his wife. So we're here to help, and we're here to help your future spouses and whatnot too. So we'll always be here to help you through the years, even though you move on to bigger and better things. If you're registering for fall classes, that is open now. If you would have to start paying for it now. So payment in full is usually required in July. There's also payment plans, and then you can get more information about the financial aid there, but you would still want to do a FAFSA, just like you would to go to a 4-year school. And then the fall semester begins August 19th. if you're looking for a job, I'm going to include these. Well, basically, this will be in the presentation. You can link to these. These might be good to bookmark for later, especially if you're going on to a 4-year school. But if you're getting right into the workforce, these are great to start looking at now, and searching for a job. All of these are pretty good, and especially to kind of find local opportunities. So if you think you're going to move away for college, but still move back to the area, these are all pretty good places to look for local jobs. And then just to look at an example of an SE4 transcript. This is from Mrs. Bears, the SE4 registrar. And we just wanted to show you kind of what it looks like from the official transcript that colleges or future employers see. And then we'll talk about how to order them again. So this is just a typical college transcript. We'll point out a few different things, but this is what that looks like. So this looks different from the unofficial transcript that I usually print out and we work with whenever we have a meeting and look at how things transfer and all that stuff, or look at your degree. But it's similar. It's the same information, just laid out a little bit differently. So it's got your personal contact info, and it lists that it is an official transcript. If you were just to order one of these and print it out and make a copy of it, that's usually not going to work. If you need to submit an official transcript somewhere, they need to come directly from the college to the recipient in order for it to be considered official. So that's where probably the easiest way is to send it electronically, and I'll touch on that again, or the college can mail it, or it can be sent in a sealed envelope. But basically, as long as you haven't been able to adapt it or adjust things, right? So it has to come directly from the college to the person that needs it. So again, they'll want an official copy of your transcript. Employers might also want it in the future. In education, the education world, you have to submit transcripts for every college for pretty much any job that you apply to. So something to keep in mind as you go on to the next step. That whole myth of C's get degrees is true. You need to have a C or higher to complete your degree. But if future employers are going to be looking at your transcripts, you might not want to have a 2.0 GPA. You're going to want to shoot higher so that they know that you're a wonderful, smart student that knows how to stay on focus and do your work. But even if you end up like me and having some dings on your transcript, hopefully you can show growth, and they'll be happy to see that later on too. This just kind of points out, like, basically the class is listed there, the name of the class, the number of credits, and then the grade that you earned. And then each semester, the term GPA is your GPA for that semester. And then the bottom number is your cumulative GPA, which is your overall. So it shows how it moves from semester to semester. It also shows MTA satisfied if you have completed that. And that would be listed at the bottom of the semester that you finish it in. So just kind of going back to, way back, sorry, I probably should have just stuck where I was. You can see MTA satisfied at the end of her winter 1998 term. And so sometimes students or colleges will be like, I thought you said you had the MTA and I don't see it on there, because they think it's going to be at the end of the transcript, but it's just hidden in the semester that you finish it. So you might just have to point that out if an advisor at your 4-year school has questions about that. But your degrees are listed at the end there, and then it'll show your final credits attempted and completed and your final GPA. And if you earned any honors like Carrie did, then you'll have that listed there. So the way that you order that is through se4.edu/transcript. It's $5.65 per transcript sent. So again, wait until the semester is over. And you can take a peek at your unofficial transcript to make sure that it's all listed there and that your grades are all in before you pay the money and have it sent. But it's pretty instantaneous, and you get email and text updates. Typically, your college is asking for both at this point, but knowing what transcript is what is really helpful. Every summer, we have students reach out in June and say, my college needs my transcript and I've already sent it in parchment a bunch of times. And then we find out, well, actually they want your college one and you never sent that through the SE4 transcript thing. Or sometimes we find out, oh, you sent it through your Port Huron Northern parchment. Well, that's not actually your official Blue Water Middle College High School transcript. That's your Port Huron Northern transcript, which is not where you're graduating from. So you will never have a graduation date there. So that's where you need to make sure that you've sent the Blue Water Middle College transcript as your high school transcript. And then you'll need that basically just to prove that you have graduated from high school. And then you'll probably very rarely need it, if ever, after that. And you order that through Parchment, or you can contact one of us, and I can help get you set up, or we'll figure out how to get it to the place it needs to go. Excuse me. So this is the director of admissions at Saginaw Valley, and he talked a little bit about majors and minors and how all of this works. And we have talked a lot about some of this through the years, but there's a couple of things that are just a lot more relevant now that you're going into the four-year school and working on your bachelor's degree. So I'm going to play it here. I hope it plays. Basically, it's just a chunk of a video, a longer video that he made for us. And again, this was years ago in 2016, but it's still really relevant and helpful as you move on to your bachelor's degree. I'm going to hit play, and if someone can just, oh, maybe I'm not.
You really have made a fantastic.
Sorry. Okay, I'm going to hit play. Can somebody tell me in the chat that they can hear it and see it?
You really have made a fantastic choice by choosing to attend a middle college. Obviously, the idea is that you are hopefully
sorry, it stopped as I look at
yourselves time and money. And I can tell you that most of you will have done that to varying degrees. Some of you will have saved a lot of time and money as you move on to four-year institutions, and others not quite as much. And I'll kind of talk through why that is, and some of those things. One of the things that you should know, Mr. Spencer asked me to sort of define what is a major and a minor. A major at a college or university just means that at least 1/3 and as much as 1/2 of the classes that you've taken are related to that particular subject matter. So as an example, if you were to become a nursing major here at SVSU, that means that roughly 62 of your credits are actually nursing credits. If you were to become an art major at SVSU, 51 of those, the credits that you need out of 124 total, would be labeled ART, art. Now, if you wanted to be an art minor or get an art minor through SVSU, that can be as little as 15 credits. And so that would be, not even, in fact, I've got one minor here on campus that's only 9 credits, which would be not even 1/10 of your degree. Majors and minors are often defined by the industry. So as an example, nursing, there are some very specific requirements that of classes that you have to take in order to sit for your state nursing boards. And that's not the case for something like art. That's why you would not find a nursing minor at SVSU, is because the state nursing board doesn't approve of a nursing minor. So each industry that you're looking at, each career that you may be looking toward, is going to have its own specific sets of requirements, whether those are just industry expectations or whether they're set down as a matter of law. So you have to know sort of where you want to go in order for us to be able to answer the question, what classes should you take, and should you get a major or minor, and those sorts of things. With that said, though, some of you may still be undecided, or at least not fully decided on what you ultimately want to do and what you ultimately want to be. So one of the things that I will tell you is there are a lot of tools out there. We will cover some of those things, and there are careers that are not only will pay you well, but also will have numerous job opportunities for just about any passion that you may have. So the question that I would encourage you to ask yourselves is not the one that everyone else asks you, which is, what am I going to be for the rest of my life? What are you going to do? right? What are you gonna, we all get so sick of that question. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna be? Ask yourself instead, what are the big questions that I want to answer? What are the things that are really important to me? Maybe it's that you want to take care of young people. And you can do that in a wide variety of different ways. You might go into nursing and do pediatric nursing, or you might go into social work and try to protect children that way. Or you could go into pre-law and become a family lawyer and try to protect children that way, or even political science and try to get into politics and set policy. So there's a wide variety of different ways to sort of follow your passion and your dreams and still make money at it and find a job. Hopefully a lot of you through this middle college opportunity have been able to pick out what you want to be and where you want to go. What are those big problems that you want to solve? Because that's going to allow people like me, whether at my institution or at other institutions across the state, to be able to effectively advise you on what classes you need to take. So what do I mean by that? Well, as part of my general education requirements, we have math. We don't call it math, at least not for the category. The category is called numerical understanding because people are afraid to say the words math. So if you wanted to be an engineer, or you wanted to be a computer scientist, or go into computer information systems, or some of those things, physics or optical physics, then you would take the very bottom class there, Calculus 1. That would be your general education requirement for Category 3. That one class would satisfy both Category 3 and it is part of your major. Now, if you wanted to do something other than that, let's say business or nursing or teaching or social sciences or criminal justice or pre-law, then we're going to encourage you to instead take statistics because it's much more relevant to what you want to do and where you ultimately want to go with your life. And so if you come to me now and you've done the middle college experience and you took calculus, and then you tell me, Anderson, I want to be a teacher, I'm going to say, that's fantastic. I hope you want to be a math teacher because then we can use that calculus class toward your degree. Otherwise, I'm going to need you to also take statistics because statistics are important to teachers. They have to be able to determine, what percentage of their classes are doing well, and et cetera, et cetera. Same thing for nurses. Same thing for political scientists, for criminal justice majors, et cetera. They all need statistics. And if you're going into business, you need economics. So unfortunately, even though that math class, Math 161, it looks like on paper it's a higher level math class than Math 132A or 132B, so you might assume, well, that's going to waive me out of those classes. Unfortunately, it's not the same content, and in order to be an effective nurse, you need biostatistics. So now, rather than taking one class to satisfy both requirements, the requirement for the major and the requirement for your general education, you end up taking two.
So that ends rather abruptly because you talked about some other things more particular to that year and that school, but just good stuff I wanted to share about kind of what to expect as you get to the next place and start working with advisors at your four-year school. And also on that note is how to get your textbooks, and once you have to start paying for it, and kind of some suggestions on how to get them a little bit cheaper. So you've kind of gotten some experience with this, that you've had to read the last question and answer. Okay, sorry. So there's a chat. Okay, so sorry. Okay. So Mrs. Barr answered about the Chromebooks, that we can't sell those, unfortunately. If you're taking a summer class, you may need to send it twice. So they might want your final transcript after this semester because they'll start doing your review, and then you would send it again at the end of the semester so they can add that class that you take over the summer. Sorry for the delay. Hope that's good. Okay, so you've gotten a little bit of practice with ordering your books online and then picking them up at the SC4 bookstore, of kind of seeing the price and cost difference between new versus used versus rented, and kind of what the quality is like. And then you've also seen that sometimes you can only buy it new, like if it has a access code or something like that that you need. There's lots of places you can buy them, basically on campus or near campus at the college bookstore, or not the official college bookstore, but there's also other bookstores that are near campus in most college towns. Basically, the closer you are to campus, the more expensive it's going to be, but obviously the plus side is the service and convenience, and you get the book right there. You don't have to wait for it to be mailed to you when you order it online. You'd bring your schedule, they help you find it. Sometimes that might be the only option, like instructors that require course packs. So that there's sometimes instructors that write their own book. They make these course packs where they kind of pick out the information from the book, or they write the material, or it could just be their PowerPoint. But whatever it is, if they are offering it, it's probably more relevant and helpful to your actual class, and it's cheaper than like a $200 book, but it means you kind of have to buy it, and you can't really buy it online. So you kind of are stuck having to buy it from the bookstore. All of this is, you'll see kind of what the books are required on your, whatever the version of your portal is at your 4-year school. You'll be able to see on your schedule and click through to see like what books are required for the classes. And then if all else fails, they'll tell you on the first day when you get your syllabus. It kind of goes back and forth between, sometimes you need the stuff right away. I would keep an eye on your email. If an instructor is saying like, we're going to right away, I'm going to need you to read from this book, and day 2 of the semester, we're going to be doing some stuff based on that reading, you might want to go to the bookstore and pay the extra money so that you can get that book right away. But if you have the time, another option would be to buy things online. It is riskier. You have to make sure that you're ordering the right edition, and then you just don't really know what the book looks like. A used book could be a whole mess of highlighting and notes and all that, but it is a lot cheaper. Mr. Stewart recommended this Delos. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but I'll show you that. It's basically a compilation of Chegg and Amazon, which are the two kind of traditional online bookstores where most people, like Amazon started as a student bookstore and then obviously turned into the massive thing that it is now. But so basically when you get your book, or when you're trying to find your book, this is just kind of what I always used to do, is I would go to the bookstore for that service and convenience. And just like at the SC4 bookstore, everything is organized by the course and the section. And they usually have a little card that says, this is English 110, section 25. These are the books that are required, and they're just there on the shelf underneath that little card. What you can go and do is go see the book, take a picture of it, make sure you have a picture of the ISBN, the actual number that's on the barcode. And then that's what you could Google or put into one of these online websites to find that. But I'll just pop over to that Delos and show you. I just put in the search, the book from seminar, just so you can kind of see. So literally, like, this was the syllabus from seminar way back when you took that. And your syllabus will always include the text and what's required or what's recommended. And so I just literally copied and pasted and put it here. So you can see I searched 13th edition, and right off the bat, the first thing they're recommending is the 14th edition, the 9th edition. So you really need to make sure you're paying attention to that. And that is important because it changes the number of pages. Like, for example, this version, the 12th version is only 277 pages, and the 13th edition is 400. So if an instructor is saying, read pages 35 through 44, and then do the questions on page 44, you could be doing a whole different assignment if you're not in the right edition, right? So it's important to make sure that you're getting the right one. So you just click here, and it brings up similar to Amazon, but it compares prices at all the different websites. So there's the second sale, mainly Amazon and Chegg, but just all of these other places, eBay, all these places where you can buy the book. So you can get that one really cheap, for a few bucks, basically. So that is Dealos, but Amazon works for that too. And literally you could even just Google ISBN and type out the number and you could find it that way as well. But yes, that's going to be a new stressful thing for you, and just that it's expensive, and it's always kind of a knife to the heart when you have to pay that hundreds of dollars at the beginning of the semester. Also, as just while we're on the topic of bad news, is all the expenses to expect. So you're going to have your tuition costs, which can be a whole varying amount depending on the school. Room and board could be, like I just saw one recently where it was like $17,000 or around $14,000, I think, for the year, which works out to about $1,500 a month for the 9 months that you're on campus. So depending on your room, like your housing, that might be cheaper than getting an apartment on your own, but having an apartment with some roommates, like there's just a lot of ways to make things cheaper. But it is typically usually cheaper to live off campus and buy your own food and cook for yourself. But the downside is that that's hard. Like life is a lot harder when you have to do that yourself, versus transferring away to a school and just kind of having the cafeteria right downstairs in your dorm or right across the hall or sorry, right across the street, somewhere close by. So definitely the convenience of that is awesome, especially as you're going away for the first time. If you can afford it and your student aid covers it, I do recommend it as an experience, but again, I know that's just not financially feasible for everybody. So if you need help kind of talking it through or looking at a budget, I'd be happy to do that too. Because I definitely, pretty much all of us in the middle college office when we went to college were definitely scraping it together. None of us were just like, I don't know, not having to think about money. We thought about it quite a bit. So any of us would be really good at helping you with that. Textbooks, I feel like if it was under 500 for a semester, I felt like that was a success. But that was before kind of the option to rent books, and it was before the option for ebooks. So that does lessen the cost in a lot of ways. And just all those other expenses that you're going to be kind of there in needing, or having to figure out what's a need and what's a want is a valuable life lesson as well. Just kind of to reiterate, the paying for college options, federal grants, if they say grants or scholarships, that's the free money. That's usually based on either the grants are usually for financial need. So if you have like incomes below a certain mark, then you are eligible for the Pell Grant or the tuition incentive program. TIP is if you were ever on Medicare for a certain number of months. And the Michigan Achievement Scholarship is based just on financial need. And then scholarships can be based on both, maybe need, maybe your achievement or your merit scholarships, they call that. And that's based on your GPA or your extracurriculars or whatever the eligibility requirements were for as you apply for things and apply for that scholarship and get it. Like you've earned that basically. So some are a combination of both, their need and merit. But basically grants and scholarships, those are the ideal. That's what you want to shoot for because that's the free money. The loans, student loans and parent loans are you're borrowing that money, have to pay it back, and you're being charged interest. I really recommend going to the video that is on our page, on the Paying for College page, to just kind of refresh your memory if you need. This is an old video of the Paying for College Success session that we had last fall. This is actually from a while back, November 2020, where it's the same information as far as the different categories of financial aid, what to look for as far as which categories to accept first for your financial aid offers. But basically just kind of the shortcut is loans and grants, best, that's free. student loans before parent loans. The Parent Plus loans are very expensive. So if you have an option to cover it all with student loans, but your parents want to help you, that's wonderful. Take out the student loan and tell them they can pay your amount for a little bit, but those loans are just cheaper. Student loans, there's things called, there's basically, they're unsubsidized or they're subsidized. Unsubsidized means interest starts accruing as soon as you take that loan out. Even if you're still in school, your interest starts building. Subsidized means the interest doesn't accrue until you're done taking classes. And that doesn't mean that you finish your degree. It just means once you stop taking classes, then the interest starts accruing I think like 6 months after you're done, you have to start paying it back and the interest starts building. So subsidized is better than unsubsidized. But most people are, if you're in the position of needing to take student loans, most people are taking kind of everything. Working while you're at school, on your financial aid award letter, you might see something called work study. And that's basically like you can get a job on campus and they pay you. They're considering that part of your financial aid award package, although that job is not guaranteed and the money is not guaranteed. It depends on the hours that you work and where you work. But work study jobs are really good. So if you say that, yes, I would like to do that, I think they point you to where to find out. But those would be the jobs like working at the cafeteria, working at the front desk, just all the jobs that are on campus, basically. When I was at Michigan State, I was a janitor for a year. So there was like 5 or 7 of us that worked at a building, and I wish I could remember which one it was. But it was a science building, and I worked from like 5 to 9, Monday through Thursday, I think. And it was basically mopping the floors, sweeping the floors, emptying trash cans. It wasn't hard. I didn't have to like clean bathrooms or anything, but it was just cleaning up basically. And those are nice because they work around your school breaks usually. And they work around your school schedule. The other job that I had a lot was a waitress. They were not always as good at prioritizing school for me. So I would give them my school schedule and then they'd still schedule me on a Tuesday night when I had my night class or something. So those are the things where just those balances that are things you'll have to figure out. And you've kind of already started that too, if you're already working while you've been doing college and high school here. But all of this, all the financial aid stuff requires you to complete the FAFSA. So even if you think like, I know my parents probably make too much money, I'm positive I'm not going to get any scholarships or grants, I really, really recommend that you fill it out because there's a lot more scholarship money out there, and they're trying to help people that are more in the middle class. And you really don't know where you fall. And there are also some merit scholarships at the 4-year schools that even if it's only based on your GPA and not based at all on financial need, they still want you to do a FAFSA just to like double check and see if there's more available. So for how easy it is now, I really, really recommend doing that, checking it off, and it's a quick thing. And if you end up with nothing and that proves your point, great. But they're saying basically up to 70% of people are eligible for something. So I really recommend doing that. There is help at the SC4 financial aid page and then our page as well. Our presentation ends very abruptly, but that's kind of all for us. But basically, if you have questions or need help with anything, come to the FAFSA drop-in on Thursday, 9 to 12 in the morning or 2 to 4 in the afternoon, or email me to set up an appointment, email me to ask questions. My emails are very flooded right now. I'm trying to work in the order that I'm receiving emails, but I'm behind. So if you've emailed me and I haven't answered you, trust that I have seen it. I'm stressing about it. I'm going to try to get you an answer as soon as possible. I'm going to just stop recording really quick. Thank you all for being